We'll call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask Councilman Patrick Lewis to please lead us in prayer. Councilman Bruce Conk to please lead us in the pledge.
Dear Father, thank you for creating this opportunity to conduct business. Let our hearts be humble, unselfish, and in good faith. May you bless our thoughts and words that are in us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. We welcome you to the City Parish Council meeting. We, as your representatives in Lafayette Consolidated Government, welcome your involvement and encourage your participation. This meeting is a public hearing. If you wish to address the council on any item on this agenda, please fill out a blue request to address the council form, noting the agenda item number. The blue form is available to you in the foyer and should be submitted to the council clerk, Ms. Veronica L. Williams, seated to my left in the middle, prior to the call of the agenda item. It is important to fill out the blue form completely and note the specific agenda item number about which you wish to speak. If the card is not completely filled out or is not legible to the clerk, you will not be given the opportunity to speak. If you have materials you wish to submit to the council, please give those to Ms. Williams along with your blue form. In an effort to allow everyone the opportunity to be heard, the 5-minute rule will be in effect. Speakers shall refrain from debating, personal attacks, and from making confrontational or derogatory comments. I am requesting that the first row to my left be used for media only. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and all phones and electronic devices shall be silenced from this point forward. I am also requesting that anyone who approaches the council state their name and title for the official record. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. Documents including agendas, ordinances, resolutions, and minutes related to this meeting are posted online at www.lafayette.la.gov or refer to the web address on the top of the agenda. The council encourages your involvement and participation by volunteering for boards and commissions. If you are interested in finding out which board suits your interests, call 291-8800 or pick up a pamphlet at the door. Got a few announcements and some adjustments to the agenda. Members, if you might want to take note of these. First of all, item number 4, the mayor's president report will have the Cleanest City Poster Contest winner announcement deferred until the April 18, 2017 meeting to coincide with the announcement of the Cleanest School Contest winners. So item 4 will be deferred. Item number 10, ordinance number 035-2017 is being deferred until the April 4th, 2017 meeting. And this is requested by legal to allow for time to make changes required by the Louisiana Workforce Commission. So item 10 is also being deferred. I would like to wish Terry Huval, Director of Utilities and the Fiber to the Home, a happy birthday, which he celebrates on March the 24th. Terry, happy birthday. If he's with us, okay. Also would like those who are watching via AOC, if you're seeing clear views, a revived camera angle or higher definition, it's due to the new installation of cameras and equipment. I would like to thank AOC for taking on the project without the need for financial assistance from Lafayette Consolidated Government, as well as the council staff for working to get this accomplished with AOC, IS&T, and the legal department. We were warned and told that, especially for the gentleman here, we now have ladies, but the picture is so clear you better cut your nose hair. So we thank them for that. This project was actually started under the previous chairman, Jay Castile, and we just recently finished it under my chairmanship. So again, Jay, thank you for that leadership that you have displayed in making our meetings even more available to our public. Also, an additional announcement, our assistant clerk, we want to wish him and his family well, Mr. Joseph Gordon Wiltz. His mother had surgery, and he has been with at her bedside during this entire time. So we want to wish Joseph and his family well, and we ask that you keep them in prayers. Joseph, many of you all know, he handles a lot of our requests for services and deal with the public quite a bit. So certainly feel free to send him well wishes and lift him up in prayer. I think this is all of the announcements that I have for now. At this time, we will go to council announcements. Any council announcements? Seeing none, at this time, we're going to go to the executive mayor's president report. I know we did take one item off. I don't know if there's anything else, Mr. President?
There's not. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move into the ceremonial presentations. I have two of them today. Honored to do these. First, I want to publicly apologize to this first young man again. He had a very special event and ceremony on last Friday, and I swear to God, I just thought that was Saturday. And along with the Macomb Vise cookout in Hyman Park and a couple other obligations. So I really apologize. This was intended to be done there, but actually now that it's taken place here, I think it's even more important to recognize this achievement. For this young man, it's a proud moment following in the footsteps of his older brother, and just some great things are going to come and happen. So I'm going to ask Christian Marcel Edwards to just please come forward, and you could go to that mic right there, sir. And as he come forward, I'm going to just read what was drafted to him. Dear Christian, I've just recently received notification of you having achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. Congratulations. You should be very proud of this wonderful, You should be very proud of this wonderful accomplishment, for I am very aware of the commitment and dedication required to achieve this rank. Not that I did it, but because I know a lot of other people who have, and I've just so happened to have spoken at a few Eagle Scout ceremonies, so again, congratulations. You have obviously demonstrated not only your dedication to achieving this rank, but you have undoubtedly exhibited your leadership skills and abilities as well. Christian, it is important to note that these qualities are the key ingredients in becoming a good citizen and a leader in our community. My challenge to you is to continue the journey and build upon the good foundation you have obviously forged as an Eagle Scout. The future of our community and our country, for that matter, looks a little brighter with the news of the achievements of people like you. Again, please accept my heartfelt congratulations and know that the people of the Lafayette community at large are very proud of you. I know it's very challenging. I know you have a brother who is dear to me and who I've worked with in many different facets who've achieved this same rank, and many other young men. I know for an African-American boy, it's even a little bit more challenging and difficult as it relates to when scouting was introduced and it was allowed to be a part of. So I just cannot commend you enough for your commitment, the effort that you have put forward. You do make us extremely proud, and I look forward to the day that you sit in these seats and run this government, okay? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Robichaud. Thank you, Councilman Boudreaux, I'm sorry. And thank you, Council, and thank you, Mayor President Robichaud. I'm a little nervous, sorry about that.
It's all right. You're an Eagle Scout.
The past ceremony, it was extremely emotional for me. It was a culminating event of my entire scouting career, and I've been a scout since I was 4 years old. I was a tag along then. And seeing my brother, as he said before, earn it, it just pushed me even more to do it. And on my honor as a scout, I will do my best to help other people at all times from this point forward. And my dad once told me that my path as an eagle is not over until I myself have guided someone else to become an eagle. So that's my goal, and that's what I plan to do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And my final presentation is one that I'm honored to do each and every year. As a matter of fact, you see members of the council sporting their red. Our clerk sent out a message to make sure you wear your red, and she said, Kenneth, when you came in, normally I see the administration is in red, so I had to pull old Rabbit out. This is my version of Make America Great Again. It's my grandparents' they had foster grandparents. Whereas Delta Sigma Theta sorority was founded January 13, 1913 by 22 collegiate women at Howard University. And whereas Delta Sigma Theta sorority was incorporated in 1930 and is a private, nonprofit organization that provides assistance and support through established programs in local communities and throughout the world. And whereas Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated is the largest African-American Greek-lettered sorority, a sisterhood of more than 200,000 predominantly African-American college-educated women. And whereas the Social Action Committee of the Lafayette Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated acknowledges the vision of Red and White Day that began at the Louisiana legislature in 1984 and has resulted in Red and White Day stemming from a Louisiana tradition to one observed by many of the sororities' more than 1,000 chapters throughout the country and held annually at the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And whereas members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated are to be congratulated for their outstanding achievements in community service for the past 101 years, today we recognize the Lafayette Alumni Chapter as they celebrate their inaugural Red and White Day. And whereas Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated uses its 5-point program thrust of economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health and political awareness and involvement to uplift, encourage, and develop the global community. Therefore, I, Kenneth Boudreau, Chairman of the Lafayette City Parish Council of Lafayette Consolidated Government, in conjunction with the entire Lafayette City Parish Council, congratulate members of their outstanding achievements and contributions to the city of Lafayette, and do hereby proclaim this 21st day of March 2017 as the Lafayette Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Day Incorporated, fourth annual Red and White Day here at City Hall. Ladies, again, congratulations for your efforts and just everything you do for our community. I'm really looking forward to Saturday night as we celebrate some great, awesome young men of distinction at the annual Botillion and Ball. We want to invite everyone to come out there. And I had an opportunity as I was at the National League of Cities recently to meet one of your colleagues, which is a mayor, and I could tell she was a Delta just by the way she was walking around that conference. But again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to Councilman Boudreau and the council for recognizing us on tonight. We, the ladies of Lafayette Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, have been providing services to the Acadiana area for 55 years through annual health fairs, mentoring young men through our Botillion program, young ladies through our Delta Gems Academy program. Once again, we would just like to thank the council also for continued funding for our Black pages. Thank you again for your continued support to the Ladies of Lafayette Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move for comments from the public. Again, this is a public hearing. This portion of our meeting is an opportunity to make your voice heard before the council, the administration, and the public. This is the time to speak about topics that are not included on the agenda. As I noted earlier, requests to make comments specific to an agenda item should be made prior to the call for that agenda item by completing a blue request to address the council form for each agenda item which you wish to address, with that agenda item being noted on the blue form. Please request that all matters regarding specific city parish employees be directed to the administration and that it not be addressed at this public forum. We as a council have a concern for the privacy and protection of government employees. With that being said, however, if your concern is not resolved in either an expeditious or satisfactory fashion, there are other avenues which you can pursue, and we ask that you follow up with the council office. Confrontational statements and/or threats will not be tolerated. We ask that you conduct yourself in a civil manner and with the same courtesy that you would expect of others. The 5-minute rule is in effect, and depending on what side of the room you come from, either one of those mics are available for your use. First speaker, Jeremy.
Dr. Olivier Chatelain de Pronville.
Good evening. I am Dr. Olivier Chatelain de Pronville, President of Sterling Grove Neighborhood Association. I wanted to come in front of the council, as I did last month. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the ETRT, the Evangeline Thruway Redevelopment Team. This organization is supposed to be a community representative organization. We were informed that 2 persons on there are representing our neighborhood. No one from the neighborhood is being represented on there. So who are these people? I've heard of Harry Weiss and another person. We would like to be put on the ETRT, so this community representation is really official and effective. I requested that at the last council meeting, and I'm requesting that again. It would be great if something was done about that, if we could advance that before the next council meeting. The other thing also I wanted to bring up is the fact that in October, we met with Planning and Zoning regarding the downzoning of areas of our neighborhood. It's a National Historic District, and we have certain areas that are zoned heavy commercial. Heavy commercial, leaving space for Walmarts, supermarkets, gas station, you name it, and this neighborhood is a historic neighborhood. We asked for downzoning of some of these areas to something that is much more friendly, which is still commercial, but it's mixed use, residential mixed use, and commercial mixed use in the neighborhood. We were told back then in October that it would take about 3 months and then we would hear about it. It has been 6 months. We haven't been contacted by Planning and Zoning. So we just wanted to, I just wanted, as the president of Sterling Grove Neighborhood Association, wanted to come in front of the council to inform that brushing things under the carpet with us is not going to work. So we would like to hear from Planning and Zoning on these issues, and would like to maybe push this forward, because it's in the interest of the neighborhood to be preserved from these type of zoning. They have been changed in the 2015 Unified Development Code, and it would be great if we could get this. As a matter of fact, residents who have these properties that are zoned heavy commercial have came forward and are now interested in downzoning their properties. So we would like to maybe soon hear from Planning and Zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
David Corey. Like to sit, sir, instead of standing?
No, I do better if I stand.
Okay.
If I start to fall, just catch me. Good evening. My name is David Corey. I live on Elizabeth Avenue on the north side of Lafayette. It's part of the Sterling Grove Historical District. And the reason why I'm here tonight is just to talk about my sidewalks on my street. As you can see, I'm disabled, and part of my physical therapy is to walk. But on Elizabeth Street, it's an old street. The sidewalks are just in deplorable condition. You go ahead and where they meet, they have cracks, and they're up, it's not smooth. At one, when you get into like the 330s or whatever of Elizabeth Street, it's so bad that you can't walk on the sidewalk, you have to walk in the street. Because the sidewalk, it's crumbly, it's a menace to the health of this municipality. And what people are doing on our street is that when they go right there, you have to walk into the street to get past that area. And if you're familiar with Elizabeth Street, we only have one side has a sidewalk. So you're literally walking in the middle of an unlit street. So that's why I decided to come here. I can't believe in 2017 that the city is letting this go on, you know. I don't know who's in charge of the sidewalks or whatever, but I wish I would do something about it because y'all are leaving yourself open to a lot of liability because, and I'm telling you, you know, I went and walked there. I looked at it today. It's like they have that limestone that they put on the curb that they put on there to make it smoother for people to walk over. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know who I contact, but I figured this was the best place to come. And I would appreciate anything y'all could do about it. And I really think that, you know, with the American Disabilities Act, that there have to be some clause in there that a municipality or a city government like Lafayette should safeguard against having things like this developed under in their area. And now, how does this work? I'm telling y'all about it. I know Nanette Cook will get it done for me, so then I'll see Nanette. Nanette will tell me.
Nanette is our go-to person. She gets
Okay.
it done.
Well, I've been knowing Nanette for years, and
Right. The information that you have provided has been recorded with our staff, and a request for services will be put into the Public Works Department to go out and inspect those sidewalks as you have reported them and make the appropriate repairs as necessary.
okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Devontae Burrows.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Devontae Burrows. My title can best be described as professional student. And first off, I would like to lead with an opinion that I truly believe and hold near and dear to my heart. The elderly of this community should be treated, respected, and heralded as equally as any individual in this community. Thus far, I'm here speaking on behalf of an elderly person near and dear to my heart, my grandmother. She has been going through, I'd say, a legal battle, but it hasn't reached that point yet with a neighbor concerning a tree that has been looming over her yard and causing mildew, mold, and other destruction and damage to her property. She has exhausted almost every outlet she could have potentially tried to reach and, you know, get to solve this problem. So I'm coming here today to ask you all, what is a potential process or person, organization that I can go to get this problem rectified and, you know, have her back into full health. 3 days ago, I went to her home to see the problem. I saw it. I went further to sleep in the bedroom, which the tree looms over. And you can tell from my voice now, I don't speak this deeply, but it was effects from the mold. I'm having trouble with my sinuses now, so there is an evident problem in that area. She lives in the Four Corners area near the old J. Wallace James School, J. Wallace James Park. she has tried. She has written letters. She has contacted individuals numerous times, and her health is taking a toll on her health. I'm just here, just asking, help, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis.
Yes, I am familiar with the situation with his grandmother. I did go out and visit the site probably about 2 or 3 times. For sure, twice I have. And the problem that she's having is that the tree belongs to a neighbor. And that's where it becomes, I guess, technical in a sense, because the city, I don't think the city can go in someone's property and just cut a tree down. But I do sympathize with your grandmother and with you. And I'll see what we can do. But I know your grandmother did reach out to the representative in this district, and as well as to the senator. I think she even wrote a letter to Michelle Obama and different people trying to get some help. And I do know she needs help, but I don't know the legal part as far as how we can get this tree cut that belongs to a neighbor. The tree is really healthy. It's a healthy tree. And I do know there's some mold, and I do know what she's talking about, that she's suffering because of the allergies that's probably creating her. But then that's bigger than myself, so I'll have to really, we are working on it, believe it or not, but it's all the legal aspect of it all.
And it's a civil matter.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Next speaker, please.
Joseph Leday.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Ledet. I live at 208 5th Street in Lafayette.
Mr. Ledet, let me just ask you one thing before you go too far to make sure you're on the right one. This is the time that we speak on issues that are not on the agenda. And if it's the thing that has been going on around your house for about 10 years, that's actually on the agenda tonight.
Okay.
Is it that?
One of them, but I have another one.
Okay, all right, so
Okay.
not about that one. Okay,
No, not
continue.
about that one.
Okay.
The next one I have is the next house, 206 5th Street. We talked about the grass. The grass is about 2 foot long. I mean, you got some homeless in the back in the alley, sleeping in the alley. They done got comfortable. They done brought some tents back there, and then we have about 10, 15 people hanging around. We doing some prostituting back there. We doing some marijuana. We doing all kind of illegal thing back there. And when I get out of my house, I gotta face all of this. And I'm asking you all for some help. I've been dealing with this issue. I've been on this street for 21 years. I'm the only house on that street, only resident on that street. Now, you have some houses, but I'm the only resident that stay there. And the next house next to me, 206, when I get out on my car porch, I'm facing some coons, I'm facing some possums, I'm facing cats, I'm facing all of this. I mean, this is a hazard. This is ridiculous. I don't think I have to live like that. Half of the time at night, I got to get up in the nighttime. You got homeless sleeping all over the yard, the back porch. So I'm asking you all, please, to do something about this. I mean, this is District 4. I mean, I'm trying to do the best to keep everything in perfect. I use myself as an example. I keep my yard clean. I keep everything around my house clean. And you cannot live like that. And my wife is very afraid now because when I leave at night to go do some jobs, she worry about if somebody going to come in the house because you got 5 or 6, 10 people, 5 to 10 people just hanging around in that alley. Now they done put some camps back there. So I don't think that it's legal where they can have a free motel in that alley. And I just ask you all for some help. I just trying to resolve this. I stayed quiet for a long time, but now I'm thinking I'm have to see who I can go and get some help by. So I'm asking you all today, and I'm speaking from my heart. You know, I'm just tired of that. And I'm losing a lot of money. Even in the neighborhood is raggedy. And even if I had to sell my house, I couldn't even get a penny from it. Nobody probably wouldn't buy it. Where you got homeless walking all around, you got homeless using a motel in the back alley, you got tall grass, and on the other side you got things not looking good. So I'm just coming to you tonight and asking you as a man to see what you can do to solve this situation.
Yeah. Let me bring you up to date on a couple of things and help you. And we're going to use this as a very, very transparent and public exercise as it relates to budgeting and priorities of a government and how we do things. One of your issues that when I came on this council in 2008, I visited your house probably once or twice with some other administrative employees to address another issue. So we did witness that. And 10 years later, 11 years later, we gotten to the point now where something is being brought forth for condemnation. I could tell you that with Operation Blightout, which is something that I am proud to say I spearheaded and created, when I came onto this council in 2008, we was doing about 3 condemnations a year. Right now, we do about 3 condemnations a month as far as trying to clean up neighborhoods. So that's one change that has taken place. As far as the alleys, I could tell you that we have started working on alleys where I'm hoping that we will be able to abandon. My recommendation is, because of the way alleys are utilized today, is abandon those alleys to the property owners for yard expansion, because we're not doing the maintenance in certain situations, and the residents who have the adjacent property right to the right-of-way of the alley is not doing the maintenance. So alleys have become overgrown. I have spoken with the appropriate people about that. Unfortunately, that takes time from a legal perspective. Let's talk about grass cutting. Right now, our ordinance says that as long as the grass doesn't exceed 12 inches on more than 50% of the property as it is platted, that they're not in violation. I could tell you that I want to change that also, because actually a person could cut half of their yard and let the other half overgrow. Or they could cut, when you have neighbor squabbles, they could cut around their house and let the fence line overgrow. So again, that's another thing that I've asked our legal department in the previous administration, and still working in this one, to look at and correct the way the ordinance is written, because everything we do, if you've been watching the government at the federal level, the state level, and the local level, everything we do comes under tremendous scrutiny by the people. Everybody wants to shrink government. They want government out of their lives. They don't want even government to exist in some cases. So when we bring forth initiatives that's going to make government engage more, that offends a lot of people, okay? And you see how America has responded to that. Yes. So what I'm telling you is that what you're doing here today is valuable, because my 8 colleagues, the mayor, president, and everybody listening has heard it from you, and not a politician trying to grandstand, right? About the condition that you have been subjected to, and what can we do to relieve you of that?
Yes.
Because once you make that complaint, we're going to send it in.
Yes.
When we send it in, they got to go verified. Even though we almost know it's there, we got to go out, we got to send an inspector, which I don't know how many we have, but I'm going to find out, because our inspectors cover the entire parish, not one neighborhood where most of the problems may exist. But that means they got to go all over the parish of Lafayette. And because we want to shrink government and we want to cut costs, we don't have a whole lot of them for a parish our size with the number of properties we have.
Yes.
So the inspector got to first go out and verify. Mm-hmm. Once it's verified, they got to draft a letter according to the law. They got to send a certified letter, and we hope somebody receives that letter.
Yes.
Well, if nobody receives it, it really doesn't do a whole lot of good. But if we verified they received it, then they got to correct the issue in 10 days. Yes. If the issue, so that's more time that you're dealing with it.
Yes.
If the issue isn't corrected in 10 days, guess what? We're going to contract it out. But we don't have a whole lot of money. So guess what? I think we got 3 contractors cutting grass in the entire parish.
All right.
So every grass cutting complaint that comes into this government that gets to the point of being contracted out, and that contract is going to get a list of about 60 to 70 properties on it, not one location.
Okay.
They're going to get a list, a packet, say, this is your packet, clean them up. That's going to be grass cutting, tree cutting. Unfortunately, that tree don't qualify, but it's going to be demolitions of houses, tearing down of old abandoned buildings, and they got an X amount of time to clear this list.
Okay.
Your lot may be first on the list, or it may be number 60 on the list, according to how that contract is working, okay?
Okay.
And then after he gets to it, that happened one time, that year, when you've been complaining for the whole year.
Okay.
And then it comes right back the next year, but remember, it was corrected. And when it comes back the next year, guess what? We got to follow that same exact process again.
Okay.
So I'm asking our legal department to see, when we've been cutting grass, whether it's in the city or the parish, when we have cut that lot, that abandoned lot, that adjudicated lot, that blighted lot that no one has taken responsible for, is there a way legally that once we cut it for the 5th time or the 10th time, or maybe even the 8th year, how about that?
Okay.
Can we stop sending this? And guess what? Legally, we got to wait for a response before we could act on it, because we can't violate people's rights.
Okay.
Why? Because people don't want government in their life. So look, I feel for your frustration. I got 2 abandoned houses across the street from me where I live. I got an abandoned daycare that I go cut myself just to keep the grass down, not to have to wait for the contractor to come. So I feel your pain. What I'm asking you to do is understand what we're up against as a government and know that something is being done. Unfortunately, the restraints that we operate under just don't get it done fast enough for you, the person who have to live by it every single day. I know the house next door was just broken into, and somebody opened the windows. I got the whole story yesterday or the day before, because they wanted to ventilate the house. They don't even stay there, but they made it their home for a day. I get it. You're close to downtown. There's a lot of people working on the homeless issue here in Lafayette to try to serve those who may be our veterans who have fell on hard times. There may be some very educated people who just fell out of luck. Somebody may be even on a substance that they can't control.
Yes.
There are a lot of issues out there when we really get to the root of it and when you really talk to the people, but know that something is being done. We're going to fix one problem for you tonight, and we're going to get on the other one, okay?
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Next speaker, please.
Jacqueline Phelps.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Jacqueline Phelps, resident of District 6 and an LUS customer, and I'd like to speak about energy efficiency programs. Many entities nationwide, whether they be cities, towns, religious organizations, nonprofits, local and state governments, work to save energy and reduce its costs for their low-income and moderate-income households. That typically focuses on retrofits or weatherization of homes, possibly replacing inefficient appliances. Funding comes from a variety of private and public sources, utility customer charges in the federal government through the Department of Energy. Through its Weatherization Assistance Program, the DOE has supported energy efficiency programs, or improvements, for more than 7 million low-income households since 1976. When I lived in Austin, although we were not low-income, my own family benefited from the Austin Energy Weatherization Program. We had purchased a 40-year-old neglected house in South Austin. Very little insulation, very drafty. It needed a new heating and cooling system. Through the Austin Energy Weatherization Program, we were able to obtain efficient attic insulation. Energy audit was done of the entire house so that we knew exactly what needed to be done. We did some mold abatement first. So we received, like I said, insulation, new heating and cooling system, which we did pay a portion of course, and other energy efficiency improvements to the home. Not only did our utility bill go down about 25%, we were more comfortable. We saved energy and money. The city saved energy and money. The Austin Weatherization Program has resulted in the city not needing to build an $800 million power plant that they had planned. I would urge the city to consider the implementation of an energy efficiency program. Help can be and came from the federal government on this. We have many low-income, moderate-income households in older housing stock that would benefit, and the city would benefit too, since energy would be saved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Simon Mahan, and he provided some documents which I'll distribute later.
Good evening. I'm Simon Mahan. I'm a resident of District 2, and I'm also an LUS customer. Last month, I came and spoke to the council a little bit about my own personal experience with energy efficiency and solar at my residence. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about a meeting group that we've developed since then. We call ourselves the Lafayette Electrical Discussion, or LED. We are a Lafayette-based group of dedicated citizens that are calling for a community-developed vision for Lafayette utility system. Many utilities across the country have a robust citizen engagement. However, Lafayette does not. In the past month, we actually developed a survey, and we started collecting information from folks that live around town about what they want in a future for LUS. And here are some of the survey results. LED has collected surveys from about 200 residents regarding LUS's future. Of the respondents, about 42% said that their electric bills were high or very high. 98% of the respondents said Lafayette should use solar power. 98%. 90% of the survey respondents said they would like some wind power. 80% said energy efficiency. 45% said natural gas. 9% said that they would like some other type of energy resource, and most of them actually typed in nuclear. It was not an option in the survey. They went out of their way to say that they wanted nuclear power. Meanwhile, only 7% of the survey respondents said that they wanted coal power. Coal is actually the #1 energy resource for Lafayette, yet according to these survey results, it is the least wanted energy resource for the community. When asked, Lafayette has no community developed vision for Lafayette utility system. What sort of focus would you like LUS to have in the next 10 to 20 years? The respondents answered, 95% of the respondents said that they wanted renewable energy like wind power and solar power. 80% said that they wanted energy efficiency and home weatherization programs to reduce bills and make homes more comfortable. 64% said that they would like electric vehicle promotion and infrastructure. That's like plug-in chargers for the electric vehicles. 59% of the respondents said that they would like more public outreach like annual meetings, customer surveys, informative newsletters, and emails. 76% of the respondents said that they would like more water conservation efforts. 52% even said that, this was part of the survey, that they would like to bury some of the ugly power lines. When asked, and this is a social survey type question, when asked, in order to achieve your 20-year vision for LUS, how much more would you be willing to pay per month? It's not necessarily that these things would technically cost more. LUS and the community could do a lot of these things for very, very low cost. Hosting public meetings doesn't cost an awful lot of money. Energy efficiency programs actually end up paying for themselves in the long run because it avoids the need to build brand new power plants. And in fact, some solar and wind energy contracts are actually lower cost than what we actually generate. So it's not that these other options are always going to be more expensive. This is a social survey question to really figure out how much rubber hitting the road people are willing to put and how much money they're willing to put down for some of these ideas. So how much are you willing to pay per month? 37% said that they would spend $10 per month in order to achieve what they wanted. 35% said that they would spend $5 per month. So if you add those together, you're already at 72% of the respondents are willing to pay $5 or more per month. And if you do some quick math, that's about $60 per month or per year per person. And there's about 50,000 residential customers in Lafayette. There's actually about 53,000, but with round numbers and whatnot. If you were to collect that amount of money, you would generate about $3 million if I'm doing my math right. And these are people voluntarily wanting to spend their money to do good things with the community. 11% of the respondents said that they would like a different amount. And of those, several said in the $20 to $25 range per month. And a few people said $50 per month. I don't know who these people are, but I need to meet them because they got a lot of money. So these are some of the initial results of this survey. This is something very similar that the LUS or the City Council could conduct on their own in order to get more representative of the community. And then on April the 10th, I want to invite you all out at 7 p.m. to the main library. April 10th, 7 p.m. at the main library. We'll be hosting a Lafayette Sunshine meeting to discuss future plans for LUS. The event is free and everyone's invited. Thank you.
Thank you. Next
Andrew
speaker, please.
Abear.
Good evening, thank you. That brought me back. I was the actual energy conservation officer for the city of Lafayette for 10 years, 5 years, I take that back, where we actually went out and did energy audits on houses and showed people how not to buy LUS's product, or in, the way I phrased it was not to waste it. So LUS has a really good product. It's got something we can market. And I believe, Mr. Boudreaux, you said, make America great. Well,
I
think
didn't
it's
really
time.
mean that, though.
I know that.
America is already great as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let's bring it beyond that. Let's bring it to Lafayette great. Let's make Lafayette great. How do you do that? By taxation with equal representation. I presented you something last week, and I have to apologize. I made a mistake. I said that 3 council district members represent 49% of the registered voters of the city of Lafayette. My mistake. Actually, they represent 56% of the registered voters of the city of Lafayette. That's hard to believe. 3 out of 9 represent more than half the taxpayers of the city of Lafayette. Furthermore, 70% of the city is represented by only 4 council members. Now, I didn't realize, but I'll give you the tabs of how I figured it out. And I've asked you before, at the last meeting, to please post this on your individual council districts. Not only for the city of Lafayette registered voters, but also for the registered voters of Scott, Carencro, Dusson, Youngsville, and Broussard, the non-members of consolidation. I think the city of Lafayette and Lafayette can be great, but the first thing you got to do is what you took an oath to. Follow the Constitution of the United States of America. Taxation with equal representation is what you need to do. I know it's going to be difficult, but you can do it. It's called Lafayette Parish 1. It is time to make us one. As we know, small towns annexing the parish reduces the revenues of the parish. And as I filed a petition to de-annex my property, to join the parish, to be Parish 1. I was a little bewildered because when I brought that petition to the city parish president's office, I was told to go to the annexation department, and I went to the annexation department with my petition in person, and I asked them to sign that they received the petition. And guess what I was informed of? They're not legally required to sign a personal petition from a taxpayer about an issue about his government. Now, personally, I figured it's just me and the way I do things. But then I get thinking about all the rest of us taxpayers that present things. Is that the way you respect us? It's simple. All you can do is sign the paper, put the date, we received it. But they did. That was the only issue that I had about that, but I'm going to leave you with a copy of this, and please post it on your website. The other thing about LUS is, which I thought was kind of unique, is I paid my bill in full on 2/13, and on the same bill, it shows I have a delinquent penalty, a disconnect penalty, and a reconnect penalty on the 27th of the month, after paying the bill in full on the 13th. Now, I don't know how the system works, but I know if I pay a business in full, they don't send me delinquent charges afterwards. So I think you need to look into your billing process. I'd like to talk more about that, but I won't do that because I'm limited with time. I look forward to hearing my petition to de-annex my property and become Parish 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Kelly Russo.
Good afternoon. How are y'all? Good.
Kelly, you could pull that mic down a little if you would like.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I come today with my passion preceding my preparation, but I sent an email to each of you a couple of weeks ago regarding LUS's city plan for 20 years. I think plans are great. I am an aspiring architect, so any sort of foresight is appropriate for you to understand where you need to go. I do believe, however, I also instruct at the university. I believe Lafayette has a future which maybe some of us tend to forget. We are UL, we are Go Team, Go Sports, and then I know many, many incredible graduates who are ultimately forced to leave. Innovative, smart, kind, creative graduates who are forced to leave Lafayette. There is a brain drain that occurs here. Myself, I fell in love with a gentleman who is in the oil industry, so I stayed. But my intent was to leave. I'm from here. I love it here. I think the food is great. The people are great. I love the architecture. Go UL. Everything's great here. But there aren't many opportunities for people who want to do things that have to do with being outside the box. And I think that's a problem because Cajuns, by nature, are resourceful. We are innovative. We tend towards resiliency and figuring things out where there are no seeming avenues to the rest of the world. And so I would like to recover that email that I sent, and to further make my point, I think LUS needs to tend towards more renewable energy. A lot of graduates of UL, a lot of people studying at UL, and not just college people, but people are starting to see, and I know that climate change is a bad word. Whether or not you believe in it, it is a bad word. I'm not here to make a point for or against it. I'm here to make a point that we have a responsibility to hold our graduates, to hold our smarts within our city limits and use them like in a concentrated manner towards intelligent decisions that expand our opportunities, not ones that restrict them. So I'll go ahead and read that email. So I'm writing to address the 20-year plan LUS is proposing for the city, and I do think it is money well spent if it gives us a leg up on what is possible for Lafayette's place in the state and country. We are an amazing and resilient people with a culture and land worth preserving. People whose livelihoods are hinged on a certain very set way of life. I understand these things as much as the next Cajun and understand the pushback against change in this community. It threatens people who have been here, who have fought for everything, who continue to fight and will not stop fighting because Louisiana is behind in a lot of ways. It is perhaps a large denial to not include alternate forms of energy in the 20-year plan. I think there is a way to intermingle our past with our future in a more aggressive fashion than we tend to practice. And by not incorporating renewable energy into our 20-year city model is excluding perhaps half of ours and your opportunity for continued exploration, abundance, financial, mental, community connection, trust, us trusting you, you trusting us. An expansionary plans will create new jobs. It will produce valuable energy. It will help us to develop a more valuable and diverse means of progressing towards sustainable economic prosperity and energy models for future generations. I don't care about your political affiliation. I don't care what you believe and what you don't believe. What is that our graduates are leaving. Please do not waste the education of your college graduates on playing like nothing has changed or adapted since the 1970s, since LUS, since Lafayette boomed, since oil. Oil is not our only method of living. Look at our medical community. It's one of the best. Please consider that moving towards more renewable, less wasteful energy models will encourage young professionals to stay, rather than participate in the long tradition of chasing out free-thinking ingenuity. The world needs game changers, and Lafayette's people really need them. And we all know the joke that Lafayette is 20 years behind. We've all heard it. If you haven't, get with it. It's not a funny joke. I hate that joke. But we need to catch up. Let's lead. And Lafayette is begging for progressive counterpoints to the traditional means and methods. And I think that all we need is a little two-step of the past and the future, and I think that's the intelligent, the considerate, and unselfish choice for all of us to make. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Final speaker, Kim Goodell.
Thank you, Mayor President, councilmen, councilwomen, and all LCG staff sitting before me today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all today as a member of the public. I'm the founder of Watermark Alliance. I want to talk to you today about Watermark Alliance and what it is to this community and what it is to this state. I also want to talk to you about United Nations World Water Day. Watermark Alliance, simply put, is an organization that is focused on water and public trust, both locally and statewide. Water, the protection and conservation of our water resources, and understanding the relationship that our built environment has on our natural environment. Water, the essential element of life and of life. Public trust doctrine, the responsibility of government, local, state, and federal to protect and conserve our natural resources, air, water, and land. In Louisiana, Article 9, Section 1 of the Constitution outlines this responsibility of all agencies and governmental bodies to assume this obligation. The Louisiana Supreme Court has ruled this to mean not just an obligation to be reactive, but to be proactive as well in carrying out this duty out and for the interest of the public. Watermark Alliance is engaged in this community to help foster an awareness in the community of the importance of protecting and conserving water, our water. Even more specifically, the Chico Aquifer, a designated sole source aquifer, designated in accordance with the Federal Law Safe Drinking Water Act of 1976. A better understanding of what goes into the quality of our drinking water will allow us to be a community engaged in protecting it. We have to know what makes our aquifer healthy so that we can protect it and conserve it. As a community, we need to understand how our local, state, and federal government and agencies carry out their duty to protect and conserve our water resources. What is the work of the different agencies, DEQ? What is the work of EPA? What is the work of LCG and our legislature? our governor's office? What are the laws, the policies? What is the science, data, and other tools that are available and accessible both to the public as well as these different agencies? But just as important, where are the gaps? It's in the gaps where we lose the health of our water, where we fail to protect it. A primary federal law is the Safe Drinking Water Act, adopted in 1976, primarily centered on treatment of water to make it safe. As we applied more scientific data, we moved into the protection of water by understanding the source of the pollution and what it is that makes aquifers unhealthy. So our federal government enacted amendments 1986 and again in 1996 to address sources of contamination and safe practices. On a state level, we have some very good laws on the books that speak to the nature of Louisiana from a hydrological standpoint. What some of those laws say is that our hydrology, our geology, our natural environment is not very conducive to the storage of hazardous waste and other factors of the built environment. On a local level, communities adopt codes and ordinances to protect the natural environment, and more importantly, to manage our local water resources. I work on a committee in Baton Rouge that focuses on legislation that can fill the gaps in our laws to ensure that we give our local, state, and state government the power to carry out their responsibility to protect and conserve.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you give me 1 second, please? Yes?
Yeah, the time has passed. The beeper is not working.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, as we announced prior to the meeting starting.
Can I say something? It's really positive. It's about United Nations, United Nations World Water Day.
What you can do, if you want to forward that to the council, you could send it via email, or you could leave a copy with the clerk and she will distribute it to each one of us.
Okay.
Yeah, you could leave that for us.
Okay.
All right,
In recognition of United Nations World Water Day tomorrow.
Ma'am.
Tomorrow.
Please don't make me do that. Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying not to. I don't even have the gavel in my hand. I don't want to do that to you. Okay. Just present it to our clerk, please. Thank you so much. Mr. Cohn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, actually last week, Chairman Boudreaux and I had discussed whether or not it was appropriate to respond to some of the comments that have been made regarding the operations of LUS and its very efficient and productive use of providing electricity for the city of Lafayette. And with his permission tonight, I will do so very briefly. As Chairman Boudreaux has said on many occasions, including tonight, please be reassured that your voice is heard and that this council is resolved to addressing every one of the issues that you bring before us. Specifically to the LUS question, comments have been made about continued coal operations. And yes, we do own a coal-fired generating plant, the Rotamaker coal plant in Boyce. We own that plant in partnership with CLECO and LIPA, and then of course ourselves. From 2010 to 2016, LUS reduced its utilization of the Rotamaker plant by about 45%, and I'll explain in just a few seconds as to how we did that. We have regulated emissions from that plant by decreasing nearly 65%, a very significant drop. And granted, it is still burning coal, but it is compliant with all current environmental regulations. Since December of 2013, LUS has actually been purchasing all of its power through the Mid-Continent Independent System Organization. We all know it as MISO. The current MISO market provides Lafayette with the following generation mix: natural gas and oil, 41%, coal, 39%, renewables, including wind and solar, 12%, and yes, for whomever mentioned nuclear before, actually 8% of that generating power does come from nuclear. Over the past 3 years, LUS customers have saved over $10 million through our relationship with MISO. And in addition, we've saved about $6 million a year by not having to run that vintage Doc Bonin power plant that is an icon off of I-10 between that and what's the Walker Road. It has not been operating since for the last, I think it's 5-6 years, if I'm correct. So having said all that, I think it's important to note that it's more appropriate and it would be much more productive that matters impacting the operations of LUS be directed to the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority, as did Ms. Phelps and Mr. Mahan did earlier this afternoon. The 9 of us sitting before you this evening are elected officials representing you as a constituent. 5 of us serve on the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority. And that's where all LUS policy originates. And that's why I say it'd be more productive and more efficient to address LPUA first about issues regarding LUS. I serve as the LPUA chair, along with Ms. Hebert as vice chair. And together we have pledged to set an agenda to review public comments, input, and provide a report to the full council when it's appropriate, including but not exclusively to addressing community engagement, energy savings, the integrated resource plan, which I'm surprised was not thoroughly mentioned tonight. It has been mentioned in the past, and renewable resources to aid in future generation, and of course, as well as the environmental issues that have just been raised. A report on the operations of the utility department and projections for the future is presented every year when we as a council review the budget for LUS and their plans to efficiently and effectively serve the utility needs of Lafayette. As a council, we also approve any rate adjustments. The annual report as part of the LUS budget process is actually the opportunity for you to provide public input into the operations and the future growth of our utility system. The LPUA welcomes public comment during our meetings on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and of course preceding every vote on any resolutions or ordinances before the LPUA. In closing, I would just like to encourage everyone to participate in the most productive manner possible as we plan how LUS can best serve our city into the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Next speaker.
In closing out the blue cords, we did have 3 citizens who signed in who did not wish to speak. First of which, Virginia Bienvenue supports LUS use of renewable resources. The second, Jessica Peacock, supports the comments made by Simon Mahan. And finally, Jason Falk, who supports the community-directed power planning process. And that concludes the blue cords.
Thank you, and we apologize for the beeper not working on the clock. We certainly don't have no intention or desire to be unfair to any person over another, but I thought it was a little long, but I was dependent on technology, which I guess we might have to put a time in the vice chair's hand. But thank you, Bruce, for your short presentation that was had, as he indicated. We had spoken about that, but I want to commend the public that has come out. I'm inspired. This is arguably, in my 11 or so years here, or 10 years here, has been one of the, I guess, more encouraging and inspiring public comment nights, if you would. And what it does, it really creates the transparency everyone desires, but it also kind of puts things in perspective. Now, you heard some things like I like to write and read. There was some talk about energy audits, and then we have a gentleman come here who said he did energy audits for 10 years. He hadn't worked for us for 10 years. So about 20 years ago, energy audits was actually being done. So when we talk about improvements to the system, enhancing the system, and doing certain things, sometimes the only way we know if it's happening is if you engage the government, as Councilman Kunk said. Somebody brought up burying power lines. I think somebody did a study on burying power lines just on Johnston Street. Forget the rest of the city, and everybody liked to run out of town when the cost came back. So when you talk about the cost, you know, we could have these conversations, and we should have these conversations. But no, there is a dollar that goes to everything. And I don't know of anybody in my district who's interested in adding another dollar to their utility bill. But when it comes to weatherization and energy efficiency, you know, I know we can't get to Washington. It's easier to come to City Hall. But the budget that was just submitted cuts out money for weatherization programs. And unfortunately, that's the money that we depend on locally to do the programs. So it's a big, big issue here that goes from top down as it comes down from the federal government. And it's just, and the issues are, it just goes on and on. Citizen engagement, Councilman Kunk said, we meet twice a month. You got 2 shots at it at an LPU and a council meeting, that's 4. And a lot is driven by our market. And I don't know how many other individuals in our market meets that often with their public. And I want to find that out, because as I was listening, I said, you know what, that's a very good point. But I know how often we meet. I don't know how often Slimco and Intergen, Clico, and those other folks meet with their public. I know there's a big annual meeting at the Cajun Dome with one of them, and they give away a car and all of that. We don't give away cars here, you know, and maybe that's why a lot of people don't come. I don't know. But we do meet, and we here to listen if people are interested in coming. So I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged about what I've heard here today, and I hope you're encouraged about the information that we put out, because that's the real information. That's the facts. That's the data. We're not sitting on our hands, as some people may think. There's actually some things being done, and we want to move to that point, the renewables and the energy efficiency. My last conversation before coming into this meeting was with a lady about her utility bill and her cost and her inability to work because of a disability. So we get it. We get it. Okay? We get it. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate your engagement with your government. We're going to now move to resolutions. Again, this is a public hearing, and blue sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. The 5-minute rule does remain in effect. Jeremy, could you please read item number 7?
Resolution 15, 2017, a resolution of the Lafayette City Parish Council authorizing the filing of an application with the American Library Association for a NASA at My Library grant.
Motion by Mr. Nakane, second by Mr. Cohn. Any council discussion on this matter? There is none. Any blue cards? Please call the vote.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 9? Motion is approved.
Okay, we're going to move to reports in our discussion items. We do have one item today coming from the Lafayette Parish Health Unit. I'd asked for an update to be provided to us, and I think we have a 5-minute presentation. I want to invite Dr. Tina Stefanski to come forward. Our very good friend, thank you for the good work that's going on over at the health unit. And I emphasize that, I guess about, I don't know how many years ago, Lafayette was considered the happiest city in America. And some people questioned that, but we did get that title. And I immediately said that we should be the healthiest city in America. And unfortunately, in some parts of the state of Louisiana, I've seen where immunizations was no longer being provided through health units, and we all know the issues that we deal with our mosquito population and other breakouts, and we talked a little bit about water contamination tonight. We've heard some concerns, and the health unit assists us with all of this, so a great responsibility, and of course we have some parish things that we're dealing with, and this falls in the parish of Lafayette, and I wanted to get an update